Well, hi guys. Here I am, Cord Rutnowski, Yankee T News, coming to you from YouTube, X, and Facebook live. And I think Jason is a little bit late. What we're going to find out is that he has no AC in his house. They have had a rough time today because of the heat. So, nonetheless, he knows he's got to be on, and hopefully, we'll be here soon. So, whether to riff or just jump in here, well, it'll be worth going over again. There have been several reports now pointing to Iran getting ready to pull some dirty tricks. Now, part one, I did talk about this the other night, but part one is that they have, well, let's say, completed the talks in Doha. Nothing was accomplished. They're going home. Well, I guess that was a nice little vacation for them. Meantime, we have other reports that they are going to rebrand themselves. There's general recognition, especially over the last several months, that the name IRGC has become a toxic brand in Iran. Yes, they have done a good job of getting the people to hate them even more. So now they're confronted with having to do something where they'll have to, quote, repackage themselves. All right, so that's the argument that's being made. I had mentioned last night the possibility that they would actually change their stripes, but nah, I don't think so. Okay, they're too ideologically invested to really reform themselves in a serious way that makes them a part of the international community. That ain't happening. Meantime, Bill O'Reilly, who I would say does a pretty good job of positioning himself as the guy who has an inside track with Donald Trump because he's known him for so long, has suggested that President Trump may be gearing, well, is this a surprise announcement, but I'll say it anyway, gearing up to attack Iran. Now, when we say attack Iran, we might need a few more details here. Now, it was possibly some kind of clickbait. I'm going to have to go check it out. Supposedly, there was an island that's been taken, but no one said anything about it that belongs to Iran. And it's apparently strategic, but I don't know if that story is true. Just have to be patient and find out. So I think the statement I would like to have you think about is who can do a better job of revamping, resupplying, repositioning, us or the Iranians? I think it's a fair statement to say that would be us. Even with even with Russia and China helping them out, there's only so much you can do. And they didn't waste any time, by the way. I mean, we've seen how they've tried to attack the ships. But here's the thing. They have only been able to attack a few ships. More ships are getting through than are being hit. Now, nonetheless, they seem to feel that just hitting a few ships is enough to discourage people from going through. But that seems to be only partially true. You have these commentators, and they stop and say, well, it's not normal traffic. Normal traffic is 120 ships a day, and we're at best around 60, so maybe half. Okay, but it's not zero, and it's certainly not where it was a month ago. Okay, timeout. Got a call here. Douglas.
Yep. Yeah, so Melissa called me back, and apparently Jason is just too dogged out to get up, really. So,
all right, I'm on my own. All right.
I guess so. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would definitely inquire about if we got that floor unit AC. I feel like they could really use that.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, one way or another, got to find out what the story is. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.
Right. Okay. No surprise. My son has special access to me. Okay. picking up where we left off here, there's a question here of timing. And let's face a fundamental problem here, all right? While Bill O'Reilly was suggesting that Trump is planning to attack again, such an attack has to not increase oil prices, not increase gas prices. So what kind of an attack would that be? I don't know, but maybe I have a few minutes here to speculate, so I shall speculate. Sanctions, have more sanctions. I hate this phrase, limited military action. It's been the limited war doctrine has been the stupidest thing that America ever got involved in. That's courtesy of Harry Truman. I would say the battle with the war with North Korea is what kicked that off. Some of the same sentiment applied to the war in Vietnam. And it seems like every time we keep thinking in terms of we don't want to think about total victory because maybe people in the government don't believe in total victory. It's a curious thing, but I think our track record under limited war doctrine has not been good. I think that's self-evident when you just look at what's happened recently. That said, all right, now I'm kind of drifting off here. All right, the idea of an attack, okay, we think strictly in terms of what we would do to, first and foremost in my mind, is that the most important thing is to, quote, take out the IRGC, damage them as much as you can. So it's not quite clear to me what that looks like, though. Can we do a bunch of selective attacks? I'm not sure. But I will sort of step back and offer as an article of faith that the military planners, once again, have been studying this to a fairly well. And you can be sure they have at least several options with respect to what they would have to do next in order to, quote, affect regime change. They may not be saying it, but I think we've learned there is no alternative. They got to go, right? Just look at how they're received in Iran. And it's the same problem, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's kind of like the PLA in China. They kind of expect to have their hands in every money-making activity that there is in China. And the IRGC, in that regard, is no different. So this is how tyrannies roll, all right? And we don't want that. People don't want it. If you're going to look at a country and how it's going to grow economically, I would say that there's nothing worse than to have some military wing expect to be a part of what goes on with the economy. I think the other place where this is a huge problem is in South America, Central America. A lot of times the military thinks it's their right to, shall we say, take a pound of flesh from the people in the country when they're supposed to be, quite simply, government servants. But they don't see themselves that way. So, the comment has also been made, the only way this is going to work if as a people rise up. America coming in and taking over the country is the worst possible idea. I'm inclined to agree, but I'm going to suggest maybe, how about a hybrid model? But it would be the kind where there has to be clear leadership from a resistance movement. And as best I can tell right now, we don't have that. We have pot shots in effect with some of the conflicts that have now emerged with the Kurds and some of these demonstrations in some of the cities in the western part of Iran. But where are the leaders? Where are the voices? Where is the communication, the messaging that says, here we are, we're the new government? There's been none. So, I mean, for that reason alone, I think you have to be pretty. Are you going to chime in? Okay, well, looks like Jason is rising to the occasion after all. Okay, so the link is there. Jason's just got to grab it. So the communist threat. I just want to mention the communist threat. Well, he's going to have fun with that, right? Now, the Democrat Socialists of America have demonstrated that there is nothing democratic about them at all, and the Democrats are having trouble figuring that out. That's it in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. So just stand by and watch the establishment Democrats get eaten up by the Democrat Socialists, even though they represent a minority. They are highly dedicated, highly determined, and I'm sorry, both parties, I would say, are guilty of this, but you've got, how would I characterize this? People who just don't care, they don't pay attention, they don't work hard enough, they don't process information, they don't learn, they don't keep up. It's okay. We've all got busy lives. We're all trying to just keep a handle on things. So yes, they literally don't have time to be able to follow these things, and they end up being, quote, low information voters, even if they're on our side, even if they agree with what we say, because they cannot see what's happening. All right, so that's with respect to the conservative side. On the liberal side, my sense of this ends up being a little selective, only because we see reporters talking to people in the street who expect handouts, think the government can take care of everything, and maybe that's it. Maybe that's how they think. Maybe those are the ones who are going to go to the poll and vote. All right. I'm ready for you, Jason. I'm ready. Yeah, here, let me just take a moment. Excuse me while I encourage him to get on. Okay, when you can. There you go. When you can. Strike up the band. And I'm surprised I haven't heard from DJ, Ricky, Eric, or Alan. But okay. I'm going to carry this show one way or another. Right. Okay. So the issue of a communist threat, I have to tell you that there is a quote from the person who is the chairman of the Democrat National Committee meeting in 1940. And in that in that convention, he made the statement that bit by bit, you people are going to swallow up socialism and you're going to love it. Well, I don't think we're going to love it. But what he said back in 1940 is certainly proving true today. What, 85? Wow, 85 years later. And again, I mean, we have these things in front of us. Some number of people are aware that there is a communist threat in this country. It comes in different forms. Part of it is that we have to get over the belief that this communist threat was in the character of staging a revolution, and it's not coming. Instead, they have indulged in, as we know, cultural Marxism. Instead of talking about economics, they talk about racism, and everything else that's built around it. The inequities of racism are what drive this, and you'll find that it becomes part of a larger discussion. For a lot of Democrats, the argument that we live on stolen land is compelling. Me, I'm not so sure, because, I mean, you're looking at history from a very narrow perspective. Yeah. So, and what does it mean? I mean, let me use England as an example. If you look at the history of England over the last couple thousand years, they have seen successive waves of immigration. Okay. If you look at America, there's the argument that there have been successive waves of immigration from the West, from Asia coming into America. And by the way, no one wants to talk about the fact that all these people that we call Indians or American Indians had no love lost for each other. There was never any real government. You had a very low level of social organization. That was the tribal mentality. Now, there are supposedly some cases and examples where tribes attempted to unite, but these were partial at best. And I'm going to take the argument that there were no set of ideas. There's no true set of unifying ideas that would inform the creation of a true government, and that didn't come along until our founding fathers put it together. That's just a fact, okay? And we don't pay attention to the intellectual struggle that it took to get to that point in 1776, for argument's sake. Maybe one small strange example. John Locke, okay, he's considered one of the intellectual fathers of American independence. His most famous work was the Second Treatise on Government. I've only read bits and pieces of it, but there was an argument back then about the nature of allegiance. You had, on the one hand, the argument that allegiance was whatever you, as an individual, chose. On the other hand, allegiance was wherever you were born. Okay, so maybe there's so at least I think we have it kind of worked out now. When people want to go live in another country and change and abandon one citizenship and take on another, you can do that. But back then, this was a hot issue, and it in a related way, you had the curious problem of those I want to talk about. Curious problem that when our founding fathers had started to develop the concept of a natural born citizen, if you read the passage in the Constitution, is it Article 2? I'm trying to remember, but they're basically saying, let me walk you through it this way. If you want to run for Congress, okay, you had to have lived in America for, I want to say, 9 years and become a citizen of the country. And if you wanted to become president, you had to have lived in the country continuously for 14 years, and you had to have been born here in America. Well, when they put that little idea together, there was no America to which they were born into. So for them to form this government and live by this rule, they had to kind of twist the language a little bit. So I don't have that in front of me, unfortunately. Yeah. Where do I want to go with this? I want to go back to the communist threat. The part that I find very disturbing about the nature of this communist threat is how they are hiding a fundamental desire, which is to destroy this country. And they hide it behind the good intentions of, well, we need to address these problems that are affecting people in the working class. No one's really paying attention to the working class, but we are. Well, I would question that. But the argument is, I'm trying to think this through. You find that communists have to obscure and hide their real intentions repeatedly, because, and then even then, when you're confronted with it, when they're confronted with their real intentions, they're going to kind of deny it. So let's go down the list. You have no First Amendment rights. in a communist system. You have no private property in a communist system. Okay? You have no say in what goes on in the government. Plain and simple. Now, that said, I think we've seen historically the reality is with communist governments, they still have to be sensitive to, quote, the masses. Don't you love it? And the masses can make for a difficult situation. I mean, if you go to communist China, what happened with Tiananmen Square, I'd say that was about as close as you're going to get to a case of a mass rebellion against the existing communist government becoming a force to reckon with. You know how badly that ended. But that just shows that when you're a communist, you have no interest in what constitutes fair government. Instead, you seem to have this notion about what is right, and you're going to impose that on people because they don't know better. This is the kind of problem, and I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, if you were to go back and look at the history, the early days of the Russian Revolution with Lenin, you'd find that they were very frustrated because here they were trying to sell the ideas of communism, even though they'd, quote, taken over, and people weren't buying it. You had people suing them. You had people going after them one way for one reason or another. Later, all right, they developed a police state model, but up until that moment, they were definitely struggling. Okay, here we go.
There we go. Now I feel like a student who's late for class, and my teacher's about to yell at me.
Well, the teacher's not about to yell at you because the teacher's very concerned about you.
Okay, hold on. Let me fix the volume on here.
Mm-hmm.
And we could talk about this, but I got to tell you, this nighttime thing's killing me, man. We can talk about it later, though.
Right. So let me just ask you a quick personal question.
Okay.
What are you doing to treat your diabetes?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. Are we talking about Maha here tonight, though, a little bit?
It could.
Okay. You could dovetail into that.
I'm talking about...
What am I doing about my diabetes?
Yes. Are you taking metformin?
No.
Why?
God, no. I'd rather be shot.
Why? Because
metformin is a masking of symptoms. It's a regulatory mechanism, and it's chemical, and it's not for me. No.
Have you had a side effect?
I took metformin for 2 months when I first got diagnosed in 2015. So I came to my senses and did some studying on my own. I treat my diabetes through nutrition, and my diabetes has nothing to do with my being tired or whatnot. It has to do with that I'm not a night person. I'm a morning person. And by 9 o'clock at night, before we started doing the show, I was going to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock every night.
Right,
And
so we'll be out of here. We can bag it early.
No. We want to keep going. But here's the thing is, I did call DJ Ricky today. I didn't get a hold of him, but I left him a nice voicemail, and I told him that I was tied up today, that we would talk tomorrow. So we're going to talk. I want him to be. Here's what I think needs to happen. We need more regulars on this show so I can do things during the day more, and then come on Saturday nights or something like that. Because when I don't have to work the next day, when I don't have like today, I just been going at it all the way up until 7:30 tonight, and I attempted to catch a couple Z's before I came on, and it's so hot in this house too. You wouldn't believe it. We have air conditioning, but it doesn't seem to be able to keep up with the heat. We're having one heck of a heat wave here. And wow, and that's not an excuse either. But let me tell you right now, it is hot.
Yes,
I'm feeling it like I haven't felt it in years.
Well, it's hotter than it's been in years.
Yeah, I would say.
Right. So look forward to now. What's going to happen when it gets super cold?
Oh, I like cold weather.
All right.
It's a little easier to remedy yourself from cold weather than it is from hot weather, I think.
Okay. So do you track your blood sugars?
No.
All right. Well,
I do, but not on paper. Like I know what it is. Like I know what. Okay, so diabetes to me, I'm looking to cure it, not manage it. And so by curing it, you're taking it's sort of a harder path to a better outcome.
Okay. However, I heard that your eyes are going.
No.
Not
My eyes
true.
are not going. Well, my eyes would be going if I didn't. My eyes were going. Here's the thing. From the time the COVID hit until the end of 2023,
Yeah.
I was on a suicidal mission with my diabetes. I did a lot of damage to myself
Yes.
between those 3 years.
Hmm.
A lot. Like, I'm lucky I'm alive. And the damage that I don't think will ever be fully repaired. However, I turned that tide in 2024 and 2025 this year by doing the right thing, not eating sugar anymore, not to the level that I was at least, and eating more whole foods. It's something that I started off on a path with in 2024 and have continued to improve on ever since.
Yeah.
And continue to the point where eventually I'll be eating all raw vegetables, fruits, and nuts only, which I'm doing almost half the time now. But
So I just want to point out that the research is in.
mm-hmm,
The people with diabetes who have better outcomes
mm-hmm.
are those who closely track their blood sugar. Okay.
And I ask you, monitoring something doesn't change the outcome of it.
Yes, it does.
How? By reading what it is, I'm just reading it. I'm only reading something. I'm not reading it.
If you have a blood sugar of 200, you got to stop and say, wait a second, I'm doing something wrong and I have to change.
Or 400.
Well, then you're dead.
Well, no. Listen, I've carried 400, 500, 600 blood sugar for long periods of time. When I was read at a doctor's office, 625 once.
This is crazy.
It's true.
This is crazy.
Years ago. Now, this isn't now. This isn't recently. This is years ago.
Okay, no, I'm going to keep bitching at you. You need to get a little blood, like I do. You need to get a little test kit.
That's never going to happen.
Well, you need it.
Never going to do it. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to continue to improve the way I eat and the way I take care of myself by drinking more just pure water and by drinking more eating more whole foods and vegetables. And what I've done for myself in the last 3 years has been great. I've feel a lot better. I mean, I had periods of ketoacidosis last year that have now gone away. I haven't, knock on wood, haven't had an episode since March 15th now.
Right.
And that was happening every 6 weeks or so before that. So there's been improvements.
Okay, it's to your benefit. Okay.
And the damage that I did is no longer being done.
What?
The damage that I did in those years, I believe, since then, I have staved off. Now, I haven't managed to turn it around, but I've stopped the decline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so because I now observe the rules that most, I don't do the sugar, I don't do the, I'm eating more whole foods, and eventually it's going to benefit me. I believe that you are what you eat.
Yeah. What about carbohydrates?
And you're sweet, right? You got to go low on the carbohydrates. That's right. I've been eating too much rice lately.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, too much rice isn't
the worst. That's the worst.
Yeah, rice is too much. It's too starchy.
No. Bye to rice. What? No, look, dude.
Well,
this is why you need to track your blood sugar. Okay?
Half the rice is half.
Is why you need to track your blood sugar.
No, I got to eat better.
Right?
The rice, half the rice was wild rice, so it wasn't like it was all white rice.
Random example. So it's 4:00 in the afternoon. I'll speak for myself. I'm testing my blood sugar. It's about 105. And I say that I'm in good shape. Good. I go to dinner. I have rice. I go home and it shoots up to 160. Okay. Yeah. But I had to test myself and say, oh boy, did I fuck up. Okay. No more. I do not eat rice. That is a no-no. Okay.
Yeah. I'm cutting down on rice.
Back. Zero. Okay.
Well, a little bit of wild rice is not bad. It's the starch of the white rice.
We're talking tiny. We're talking.
No, you're correct. There's too many carbohydrates in rice. I agree. Okay.
No, I mean, rice is all right. You're familiar with the glycemic index?
Yes.
Okay. So that is one of the most rapidly digested foods on the list. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the stuff that's rapidly digested or the sugar is rapidly absorbed that you do not want.
No, I agree. I mean, so the stir fries are going to be basically just all vegetables now, with a lot less of maybe a little bit of wild rice, and then it's going to be it's all going to be basically meats and vegetables. That's really it going forward, straight up, and eventually that will benefit me,
Mhm.
and it'll start. I feel like that honestly. The reading, like the eye doctor, lost all the videos, and she took all the pictures and videos she took of my eye in January. She didn't have them. She lost them. That was a little upsetting because it didn't give us a good.
The excuse for that.
There's no that they had it on an old machine, that they didn't get it off.
Machine.
Yeah. So I wasn't too happy about that. She's a really nice lady, but I said this really prevents us from making good comparative analysis. I really wanted to know where we were at between January and June. That timeline I lost, because that would have told me what was going on with the decline, the pace of decline before, leading up to, and during. So without that, but I believe that almost all of the damage I've done to myself, I did in those years, and that since then, this damage has stopped. It's not improved, but it has not gotten worse.
Yeah.
I go by the gut feel. I know when my blood sugar is high, when it's not. Like, I feel it. I don't need the exact number.
What you do, you should, you must think of your children. Think of Melissa. Okay.
Melissa.
Yes, that's why you got to keep track of your blood sugar, because when there are surprises. You don't know the answers to everything you're dealing with.
No, I know that, but I'm also
that a blood sugar test gives you.
Again, it's a reading. It doesn't change it. All it does is tell you what it is.
It's a guide for your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
This is the wrong way to think about a test. A test is not a treatment. Okay.
No, I get that. That's exactly why I don't do it. It's not a treatment. It's just a test, which is why I don't do it.
Okay, and let's see. So you don't need to take your body temperature. You don't need to take your blood pressure.
It is
your heart rate.
I realize that it's not like me. I'm somebody who tracks everything. So why don't I track my own body? Right? That's a good question.
Well, it's not just that. When you go to the doctor, what do? They measure things in you.
Correct.
All right. Blood sugar test, no different.
Mm-hmm. Testing it doesn't change it.
Well, measuring
behavior does.
Your heart rate doesn't change anything either. Measuring your blood pressure doesn't change anything.
I feel like I know my body, and I know that if I just simply discipline myself better in what I eat to the point where I know where I ought to be, that I will eventually be rid of the diabetes. It'll go away. I won't have it.
You'll be flying blind. You are flying blind.
I believe there's a cure to diabetes part 2. And Selena agrees with me. It's just all it is about keeping the sugar out of your system. Really, that's really what it comes down to. You're right. Rice turns to sugar.
All carbohydrates turn to sugar.
All carbohydrates turn to sugar. That's correct. So that's the last area of the battle I gotta improve upon. I happen to know, and I happen to believe that if you eat nothing but all raw vegetables, fruits, and nuts, and nothing else, it takes a couple of years, but eventually you will rid yourself of most of your 97% of your body ailments will go away if you just do that.
Arthritis, the effects of arthritis will be minimal, but yeah, you won't rid yourself of it completely because that's a rot of your joints, usually caused by prior injuries, which I happen to have some back here. Mm-hmm.
I can tell when it's raining, when it's humid and rainy out, when my shoulder blade starts to ache a little bit because I got T-boned by some moron in a car back in 2015. Crushed my shoulder up against my body like this, and so I know what arthritis is.
All right.
And, no, 97%. So here's what I believe: 97% of the diseases are basically preventable through behavior. Mm-hmm. Only 3% are you a prisoner to because of, say, genetics. And something like diabetes is a behaviorally induced disease. Diabetes part 2, that means. But your susceptibility to it is a gene trait.
Mm-hmm.
So some people can eat sugar up the yin until they're 90 years old, will never get diabetes. Others, not so much. Mm-hmm. So it's a behavioral, it's a disease of abundance. I've learned that there are 2 types of diseases in this world. There are called diseases of abundance and diseases of scarcity.
Mm.
And diseases of scarcity come from, malaria and other diseases in Africa when you're starving, you don't have enough to eat, you're malnourished, you're getting diseases like dysentery and malaria and yellow fever and whatnot. Then there's other diseases that are called diseases of abundance, the ones we have in America the most, from having too much of everything. Too much crap we're putting in our system. Cancer, diabetes.
Do you know how Johnny Cash died?
Yeah, from drinking too much, probably.
Nope.
Well, how did he die? I know he
Diabetes.
died. Okay.
At
So
the age,
diabetes is
at the age of 71.
the way to defeat diseases of the way to defeat diseases of scarcity is to feed the people.
Mm-hmm.
The way to defeat diseases of abundance is to starve the people. So the best way to defeat diabetes is by fasting, eating as little as possible, and eating the most natural, raw fruits, vegetables, and nuts as possible. And in time, your body will fix itself.
Well,
It takes time.
The
problem is the willpower.
Okay, well, my problem is that I'd like to take a closer, quote, scientific or biological look at things like diabetes. I haven't done it in a couple of years, but now I'm paying more attention.
There is one thing that I want to point out about diabetes on a scientific level.
Yeah, what's that?
Now, obviously, the crux of the problem is too much sugar in your bloodstream. But what's the cause of the too much sugar in the bloodstream? It gets left into your bloodstream by red blood cells and white that cannot absorb the sugar as well as they would. Because what happens is
not the red blood cells.
Artificial fats that we eat in our food, the crappy artificial fats and whatever. I'm not an expert on fats in particular, but there's trans fats and non-trans fats, and there's different types of that. And the types of fats that we're putting in our food now are creating basically a membrane around our red blood cells, a residue, I should say, around the rim of our red blood cells that don't allow it to absorb sugar as efficiently as it should, thereby leaving it in your bloodstream and thereby raising your blood sugar. That is the crux of what's behind. It's fat core. It's not sugar. What? Sugar is the symptom. Fat is the cause.
Let's see here. I'm going to ask the all-knowing internet. Does fat cause diabetes?
Certain fats.
Backpedaling.
The good fats and the bad fats. It's the bad fats.
Yes, it says fat plays. Not all dietary fats are equal. Some contribute. So the point is that the fats contribute to insulin resistance.
And contribute and the lack of efficiency, because you get energy in your body by two ways, right? Through fats and through sugars. And your sugar system, the white red blood cells go into your bloodstream and take the sugar out of it and use it for energy, convert it to energy. That's what happens. But with the fats, it permeates. It creates a small film around the outer edge of the red blood cells, which makes it less able to absorb the fats out of the bloodstream, thereby leaving it in the bloodstream and raising your blood sugar.
Well, now you raised another question. I've never heard of red blood cells using fat.
Well, maybe it's white blood cells I'm thinking of. They use sugar, not fat. They absorb sugar out of your system.
What you're trying to think of are all the cells that make up our organs. So that would be the liver, that would be the spleen, that would be our digestive system.
And so because of the fats in our system that are not good, they're less able to absorb sugar, and leaving the sugar in your body not being used like it should be, and thus overworking your pancreas, trying to regulate it, overworking it and creating it stress for it, and thereby in time, that's why diabetes develops over time. We don't wake up with it one day. It develops over time. You know, that the pre-diabetes, because your pancreas is basically buckling under all the pressure.
Yeah, well, I think, yes, to your point, the fat is a major factor. That's why one has to lose weight, but you've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, in 2021, up until my entire adult life, I would have been obese. And I wasn't a real heifer, but I was probably popping between 240 and 260 pounds for 5'11" guy, which is pretty heavy. And what happened was in 2021, I'm not sure why, probably because of the way I was eating and drinking like an idiot. I was probably carrying over 300-400 blood sugar routinely during those times. And what happened was something gave out. My body suddenly lost. I went from 250 pounds to 190 pounds in like a month and a half. It just all started coming off. And it was a little scary, a little freaky. And that was when I was doing a lot of damage to myself during that period of time. And that was the beginning of it. How I can explain it medically. I actually told a couple of doctors about that, and they were like, I don't know what happened. Usually people gain weight when they get diabetes and get obese and things like that. And what happened? They weren't sure what happened to me.
Well, it
But
sounds like your body was trying to fight back.
my body was doing some kind of a desperate plea to me to stop doing what I was doing. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't listen. But and I guess I couldn't be the incredible shrinking man. Like, I think my body was doing something, but it wasn't a Stephen King movie, so I wasn't going to shrink down to nothing. I got down to about 187, I think, at the lowest, and then it kind of stabilized. And I started eating a lot of raw eggs and a lot of protein stuff. Not raw eggs, but hard-boiled eggs and
Okay, yeah, I was going to say
not raw eggs. No, I'm not Rocky.
Yeah, that is true.
It still disturbs me, but no, just a lot of I was eating hard-boiled eggs every day and just a ton of protein to try to boost it up. And now I think I'm about 215, which is actually 210, which is pretty good for where I'm at. And I still can't really explain what happened there, but it has stabilized since then. I probably, my ideal body weight for my height is about 190. So it actually put me right at my ideal body weight, but it wasn't the way you would expect it to happen.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So like by the time we got to the end of 2023, I will tell you, I was really disgusted with myself where I was at. In 2024, I decided to change things. And I did really well in January. But at the end of January, the last 4 or 5 days of January 2024, I started to falter again. I started to eat sugar again. And that one night at the end of January, and I'll say this publicly, I had what I consider to be a little bit of a mental breakdown one morning, actually, early in the morning. I went into tears, and I was irrational in my thoughts. And all I kept thinking is, my God, just what you said. I'm not thinking of my girl, my kids. I'm sitting here killing myself in front of my kids, and I'm making them watch. Because I was drinking big things of lemonade and big things of iced tea every day.
What?
I mean, bad, Cora. 2023. Melissa will tell you, one day we were on the way home from the lake from the vacation of that year, and I was drinking all these drinks, and I had to keep pulling over on the side of the highway to go to the bathroom because it was just right through my system. It was just like my body was like, ah. Well, anyway, I had this little January 2024. I just burst into tears. I was loud. Luckily everybody was sleeping. They didn't hear me, but I was like, what am I doing? I'm killing myself in front of my kids. This is horrible. I'm torturing them and stop. So what happened was February, I went sugar-free for almost the entire month. I think I only had one day where I messed up out of 28 days. Then March comes along, and Melissa's brother drowns in Bolton Lake.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, one of my best brother. And that knocked me for a loop, and I kind of faltered a little bit for a while. But what happened was, as the year went on in 2024, I continued to improve. So by the time we got to the last part of the year, I was only messing up like one day a month or something. I was really, really doing well. And I've continued that momentum ever since, improving it. And what's happened is, if I were to look at the way my body was at the beginning of that year compared to where it is now, I don't know where it is, but it's no worse than it was. It's probably, and I think it's improved somewhat. So I think I'm actually going in the right direction.
Okay. So let me raise another issue. What are we going to do about the IRS?
Yeah, the IRS. No, I don't want to make this I'm going to talk about this in aggregate.
Yes.
It's not I don't want this to be about me. Okay.
No.
But if you're with a small business, if you dare in our corrupt government, if you dare try to have your own business, you will be punished. You will be regulated and punished as much as possible by the IRS to make it difficult. In my opinion, nobody who makes under $100,000 a year, and I believe President Trump has said this before, nobody who's making under $100,000 a year in this country should ever be taxed with income. That's a sin. Okay. You take someone who's worked hard and built up 8 or 9 bags. We'll get back to rice again for a minute, but we're from a Chinese analysis. You're a peasant, you work hard, you build up 8 or 9 bags of rice for your family to use, and they come and they take 7 of them away. Yeah, more, actually, oftentimes more. Like, I know that what their income tax, say you make $80,000 a year and you're a small business, and you pull in $80,000 or $90,000 a year, and you're going to owe about, now if you're just working for a paycheck for that, you're going to pay about 10% of that. But if you're a small business, you're going to pay a lot more than that. You're going to be punished for that. You're going to pay what's called a small business tax quarterly, just for self-employed people. And you're going to pay a higher percentage. And what's going to happen is, because you're only making $80,000 a year in Connecticut, which, by the way, is not a lot of money to make for a year in Connecticut, you're trying to make ends meet. and the government's saying to you, you better save about $10,000 to give us at the end of the year, or you're going to be in trouble. And if you're trying to make ends meet, that's a very difficult thing to do.
For sure.
And so what happens is people get caught with these $8, $9, $10, $12,000 federal debts that they just didn't see coming. And not that it's not an excuse for them; it's just a hardship. And so you find yourself suddenly you owe $12,000 or $17,000 over a couple of years or whatever, and you just you don't really know what it's not that you didn't want to pay your taxes or couldn't pay it. It's more about just
It's more about
it's too much. Like since I started this company 11 years ago,
yeah,
I have written more 3- and 4-digit checks out to insurance companies and government agencies than I've ever written out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I took a paycheck for a few years. We had a payroll. I took a paycheck.
So you're talking about insurance, workman's comp,
liability insurance, bonding, you know, the local tax. The local taxes, they tax you on your pens and paper and everything. I mean, you know what I paid for property tax in my car this year? $900.
What year is the car?
$900.
What year is the car?
2021. That's not a brand new car. It's a
That's
nice car. But it's not a brand new car.
Rather high. Yeah.
Well, no, it was a $700 bill.
Yeah.
And because I was a little bit late,
Oh,
they didn't tack on 1%. They tacked on $200.
Now
that's mafia stuff.
All right. To be clear, I mean, I'm just going to throw. I mean, this is kind of high, but the mill rate should be around 30.
I think
lower, actually.
I think Manchester's is 44.7. Not mistaken.
Mill rate is 44.
I think so. Don't hold me to that, but I think it's definitely 33.
Oh, brother.
And they have these mafia things. If you're a little bit late, they used to just tack on 1.5% per month, which is 18%. That's a pretty high percentage. They would tack on 1.5% per month every time you were late. Now they just add $200, $300 to it. I mean,
well,
last year I went and paid some of that tax in Manchester, and I did it live on Facebook, and I really let them have it in there. Let me tell you.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
on one hand, you need to keep up with the taxes. On the other hand, yes, these are rapacious rates that they're charging, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, who is another thing when you consider? So you struggle. You make about $80,000 for the year. You know that's not a lot of money. The government says, give me 9 or 8 right now, and you don't really. It's hard to come up with that kind of money when you're trying to make ends meet. And for people that are self-employed, they don't have stuff automatically taken out of their check or whatever, you know, so they don't know. And so what happens is, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Yes, you shouldn't be paying that kind of tax when you're making that little money, really, honestly. It's crazy.
Well, I didn't quite get the chance to make this point to Douglas, but for you to begin to get ahead of this stuff, you are confronted with a very important choice.
What is that choice?
You're going to have to exploit my son.
Exploit your son? Oh, wait, we're getting juicy here. What's going on with that?
Well, you're going to have to make him work a lot harder and produce a lot more stuff.
That's correct. That we're working on, and we have to figure out a way how to deduct all, you know, like all the money I pay him too, because he's not on the book. So I have to, like, you know.
Okay. Well, then
we'll get there. We'll get there. It's legitimate.
So I mean, what does it implicate? What is the name of it? What's this tax relief company you're working with?
Oh yeah. So you know what? Have you heard of Optima Tax Relief?
Sure. Yeah.
Those guys are. Yep. You know, those guys are actually IRS agents. You know.
Okay. Yes. All right.
No. So all you're doing is you're negotiating with a wing of the you know, probably like a subcontractor of the government.
Yeah.
To work out a deal if you're behind on your taxes,
right.
And you get and supposedly if you're, you know, having a hard time, you're not, you know, stashing diamonds in your closet or whatever, and you're struggling, that they'll give you a break. If you
gold bars,
they might cut the bill in half or whatever. But here's the thing: there's always a catch. If they cut your bill down, then they're still watching you. So if you try to save money, they'll come take it from you still.
What do you mean if they try? What? How do you? I don't understand.
They'll say, look, let's say you owe the IRS $10,000. They'll say, I'll tell you what, you don't have to really pay us. We're going to forgive you. But we're not forgetting. And if we see someday that you've built up a little nest egg, we're going to come take it later.
Well, any income you take is going to be taxed unless you have it accounted for in a special way.
That's Correct.
You know,
That's evil
okay,
on its face. When you tax somebody's labor, you're enslaving them.
okay, this is a correct argument, but it is an old argument. And that horse left the barn a long time ago. Okay.
I don't think it should ever be like we talked about how an issue should not be put to bed if it's still out there.
Well,
I think
all
Trump
right,
has said that
all
we
right,
should-
yeah, so we can try and revive the argument that you shouldn't tax a man's labor, and fine, but that's
But
going
we're
to
stuck with it right now, aren't we? We're stuck with it right now.
think of all the different levels of government which changes have to be made if they're going to respect that as a principle. You know,
Yeah, it's a principle I have a hard time with. This is why I don't do my own taxes. I just cannot deal with them. Emotionally, I can't do them. But the good news is, the other day I sent you an email early in the morning when I woke up and I just opened a letter from the IRS and I was really pissed. And I was just, thank you for being my sounding board on the email for that morning. So I wouldn't take that. I was just, it was an emotional response. And, I'm not usually like that, but I've had sometimes there's things I have to get off my chest with people, like just to get something off my chest. And that's what I
okay,
did.
but I mean, the analyst in me says, well, you got to look cynically. You can say that they're going to take everything you have.
They will. They have. I mean, I had saved a few thousand. Now that's all gone. I got to turn a third of that over to the IRS the next week or so.
All right, they can't take 100% of your income.
No, but they can take. They're telling me I want $1,600. I want another $900 here, and you owe $17,000. So
Right. Well, this is the part, at least in my mind, where you back up and start to ask, well, okay, what is my income? What are my expenses? What percent is being allocated to taxes? Does this all look balanced? Is there something not right here?
no, I think what happens. I know there's a method. My accountant taught me what it is. At the end of the month, you go through your bank statement, you take all the pluses, then you minus all the minuses, and if there's a net gain, you take 40% of that and you put it aside. Do that every month. At the end of the year, you're fine. Matter of fact, you probably have a little money left over. So that's what we're going to start doing. And we have a plan worked out, and I think there is going to be a negotiation where things will be, there'll be a lesser amount I can pay or whatever. But the bottom line is, it's going to be fine. I'm not speaking on my behalf. I'm speaking on behalf of I think the system is flawed though, with taxing middle class and under people's labor. I think there should be. I can understand a luxury tax if you make more than $100 or something $1,000 a year. You take a certain percentage for an income tax. I think that could. I find that even a little
tax for income over 100,000.
If you're gonna look, I don't think there should be an income tax at all, frankly.
Yeah.
But if there is gonna, I'm not somebody to tax. I'm not a Bernie Sanders tax billionaire kind of guy, but I could say that it'd be fair to say if you're making over $100,000 a year, over $250,000 a year, say that it's a little less hard to stomach saying let's take 10% or let's have a graduate scale at that point. I'd still rather see it happen. I'd rather see the United States gain its revenue from external sources like tariffs, and also from perhaps a luxury tax on, if you're purchasing a diamond ring or something, and you're buying one of those stupid Coach handbags that Melissa always loves that are $1,500 for a freaking pocketbook. I mean,
okay, that's going to be tiny.
Doing that kind of stuff.
That's
where the taxes come, like from sales tax, food, not everything but food. Because you know why? Because you're paying taxes on what you're purchasing. And it's a good progressive tax. If you're rich, you're buying more stuff.
For example, if you were to look at your receipt when you go to the grocery store and look at taxes, you're going to find that there are only a few food items that are actually taxed. Most food is not taxed.
No, I know that. Their tax in Connecticut, they came up with a way around it by saying if they prepare the food for you, in other words, it's one of those ready-made meals, we're going to tax it.
Yeah,
Connecticut now taxes ready to eat meals. You go to the grocery store and buy one of those little prepackaged chicken cordaboos they make or whatever.
All right.
They're taxing you on that now.
All right. So anyway, so you didn't meet with Gabby and
I did this morning. Yeah, we met. We had a great meeting actually.
Well,
I met with Tom, with Attorney Becker, and with Gabby this morning in Manchester for about an hour. We had a wonderful discussion. I'm gonna bring Gabby aboard starting a week from Monday. I'm gonna pay her a certain amount of money every week, and she is going to be my task-driven doer like that. That we're gonna look at the task list I have. She's going to start helping me out. She's going to start building connections, the platform to look for. We laid out exactly what we need in terms of personnel. We need a social media engineer, social media monetization guy. We need 2 of those people. We have leads on who those people are going to be,
Right.
and we're going to job descriptions for these people. I'm going to pay her a salary, a part-time one for now, and money's going to come from JBD Investigations to pay her. I'm going to bring her on board with my company with JBD Investigations, and she's going to help with administrative duties on that as well.
Right.
That's good.
It's called.
She's a big part of this. I'm really looking forward to working with her.
You're making her a Gal Friday.
Gal Friday. Yes. Okay, I agree. I don't know what that Gal Friday is. Is that like the right-hand person, your right-hand person, like that thing?
Correct.
Okay. Yes, she's going to be that, and I can't wait. And starts a week from Monday. And one of the 2 things she has on her list to start with is to get it set up so that we can actually have a payroll structure again and actually pay employees. The second one is to develop job descriptions for the 2 positions we're looking to fill.
Okay.
And start making those things happen. And then the third initial task is to work with our lead that we got from James Mayer and get some T-shirts and hats and a couple of polo shirts made with our logo on it.
Okay.
So we can start displaying it publicly, and make little improvements to. I don't think this is all that bad what I have here. I think I need just a little bit of help, maybe a curtain or something, or I think there's not much that needs to be done here. I love the sign. I love this.
Yeah. No, you need what looks like a studio and not a back room.
Right, and I don't think it's a lot to do to make that happen, really.
Well, like I said, a curtain. 2 things: curtain and a neon sign.
Yeah, or at least a really good sign. I don't know if it has to be a neon sign, but a really eventually we're going to have. So I also talked with Court about the building in Manchester. It's the government, so it'll take months for things to develop in terms of purchasing the building. However, the people that now run the building may have space, and right now I'm paying $180 a month for a freaking mailbox.
Yeah.
That's
But wait, don't you have access to the office stuff?
Well, you can use an office there 2 days a month.
Yes.
And you can go there and get your mail. But all my mail goes to my PO box. I literally get 1 or 2 pieces of mail there a month. Almost nothing is coming in, except parcel stuff. And so I'm basically paying $180 a month for a FedEx house, and it's too much. So I'm talking with Tom about the people that own the building now, and there may be. I said, look, I want to rent a closet. Doesn't have to be a lot of space for JBD and for CS&E administrative, and then eventually we'll rent a studio there. But if I can get a little closet there for $400 or $500 a month, probably I'm thinking something cheap, then now I'm only increasing my expenses from 180 to say 400 or 500. That's a slight increase in expense. But now I have an office. I have an actual office.
Well, you're
now,
paying.
Gabby cannot report to work here at my house. It's too far away from her. And this isn't really an adequate.
So where does she live?
This will be a satellite office ultimately. But
where does she live?
She lives in Bristol.
Yeah, wherever we go, that's a haul.
That's not far from Bristol to Manchester. That's not a big deal. Bristol to Coventry is a lot further. So, and it's not doing it just because for her either. But there's a reason why we want to have a physical location. I have a vision of one of those bright, not neon, but one of those bright lit signs with the CSD logo out in front. That's going to be ultimately our headquarters. Until we have to buy a big building like ESPN does. Until that's going to be the spot. And it's a good spot. It's a great spot. And I want to develop our image from there and of course in the field. And so Tom's going to talk to the people that own the place now about if I can rent a postage stamp size closet there to put my. Because Gabby's not just going to help me with CS&E. She's going to be a right hand girl for me on JBD Investigations as well, to get things up the run. Because Doug can't do both. Doug can't do production and administration. Ultimately, he's going to need someone to do one or the other. Mm-hmm. And I think your son's ultimate place is in the office.
Doug?
Yes, to run the company from the office and send people out. I don't think he'll be doing his own production work too, a lot of it, but ultimately when he's running the show, he's going to be at the helm.
Yeah.
So
in my mind, the helm means many things. I don't know.
The helm in this business is at the office, essentially. the glue that keeps everything together at the office, and the dispatching the people out to do the jobs, handling the clients. It's an office management type of thing. It's Doug what Doug ultimately wants to do. And so ultimately Gabby would be his right hand person, handling stuff for him as ultimately the new CEO of JBD Investigations. She would be someone that would. So she's going to be a part of this company as well, and she's going to be what I consider to be an general executive assistant for everything I'm trying to do.
So how much have you talked with Douglas about Gabby?
A little. I haven't talked to him since we met today.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he likes her, and I think she's got the going on, which is you don't want to let that go.
I would agree.
And so that's why. And then we talked a lot about how when we go to someone like Eric, say for instance, or a guy named Glenn Perez, who's a lot like Eric, and we propose to bring them aboard, that we have to have exactly in mind what we're looking for. We can't just go to them and say, hey, what are you good at? So that's why she's drawing up job descriptions for 2 or 3 positions that we're going to need to really get this thing going. And so the other thing is JBD is going to be paying whoever I'm paying for now. CS&E does not have an income generation method to pay people at this point. So JBD, I figured out, is going to have to help with that a little bit to start off. And she's a key to that. And she's going to help us get the income streams up and moving too. She's, so there you go. So I think we had a really good foundational meeting today about that. And she's starting a week from Monday, and she's going to do about 10 to 12 hours a week. I can't afford to pay her full time, but I'm going to pay her. I told her I'm going to pay her a certain amount of money monthly, and she's going to pull about 10 to 12 hours a week, just dedicated to administrative assistance and getting things moving. It's 10 to 12 hours. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that's about 50 hours a month.
It's a lot.
Very valuable time that we need of true executive assistance and true task-driven material from a very smart woman, actually. So I'm very happy about that. I think with her aboard, I think as the summer rolls on, because I really have this goal in mind, because this is a very important political season. We got November is huge. So my goal is to have by September 1st, for the last 2 months before the election, to have basically a studio, T-shirts, hats, labeling, the whole product as we want it out, and at least 6 to 8 hours a day of podcasting going on in programming. That is my goal for September 1st.
Okay, who's going to be doing this podcasting?
The podcasting and content portion, the time filling is not the problem. I have journalists lined up to bring presentation and bring material to us to fill time. That is not going to be a problem. It's a matter of coordination. We're trying to find the right particular professionals to help with it. That's not easy. But in terms of finding the right journalisms and the right stories, that stuff's easy. I could do that tomorrow. It's just that we don't have the platform. So there's a platform. You come up with a story, you have a video, you're going to want to upload it into our system. We're going to have a guy who's going to come in and get it into a production mode and get it out there on the internet. So that process has to be well-defined. So that our journalists can know what to do when they have the story. And then at that point, once we have that, then everything's going to start. Okay, I just got to make the calls to my people. Okay, start uploading it up to here when you get your stories, and boom, they start coming in. We have our engineer to get it out into a presentation, and there it goes. Once we get things by September, I'd like to see this show have a theme song. And a little music come in. We have here we are, the next edition of Yankee T News.
Well, all you need are just a couple more ukulele lessons. You can write
Okay, with that, I think that I have to wrap it up for today.
Yes, because you got to get up.
I still have a good and this is one of the problems at night. Like I literally have about, what time is it right now? Is it 10 something? I literally have at least 2 hours worth of work to do to be ready for tomorrow. So I'm gonna be going to bed at midnight, and that's just not the way it works. So you and I, we have to talk about this show is great. It's going to get stronger. It's awesome. We have great content. As soon as the more we spruce things up. Oh, I'm also noticing another thing. We get a lot of viewers. We're getting tons of views and subscribers. What we're missing is this show and the one of the day I do. What we're missing is sustainability. So people pop on, they're on for 20 seconds, they're gone.
Yes,
I'm seeing people to stick around for a little while, right? So why aren't they sticking around? I know why. It's the style. So our substance is great. So if they log on and they catch the right thing, we're saying the right thing, they're going to stick around for a little while. But if we're not in that moment, they're going to see our aesthetics and go, and they shut off. And that's what we're getting.
Okay.
So that's why the style is important, just like the substance. So that's why we have to
right about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got to get to work and go to
I gotta
bed.
get to work.
And,
I'll be
you know,
back tomorrow night.
All right.
All right. And tomorrow is a holiday, so we do have a lot of work to do, but it shouldn't be as intense as today was. So
Also,
we'll be ready tomorrow night for everybody. So I'm going to sign off right now on Facebook for those of you that watch us and tolerate us once again. So Janet and Molly. Hey, Polly, I got the volume fixed. I got the louder now.
Whoa. Before you
Yes.
go,
Oh, what?
I wanted to let you know that I sent a note to Betsy because she's going to be down in Washington.
Yes. Okay.
Basically offering that there's got to be a way in which we can help cover what she's doing down there. So,
Well, I would love to just drive down there and cover it. I really would. Do you want to go with me? You drive? I'll drive home. Or the other way around. Look, I'd love to do it.
Yeah, well, it's a lot. Okay, and it's going to be 116 degrees down there. I think you're having problems sleeping at home. What is the thing? Let's decide this tomorrow, right?
All right, that sounds good. Let's have a good chat tomorrow morning on the phone, Claudia.
All right.
All right. Once again, everybody, for Common Sense News Entertainment, don't forget the battle is always between the state and the family. God bless Connecticut. God bless America. Paulie, Janet, we love you for watching. Stick with us, man. It's going to be great.